Welcome back, everybody, to Laying the Points with Luca Rosano. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, coming to you live from the Parlay Studios. Hope everybody's having themselves a great day. I could be doing a lot better. Why? Because last night, I may have had my worst string of games, betting-wise, ever. I've been betting for a very long time, folks, since I was 19 years old. And I never had a worse stretch like I had last night when I went 0 for 4. I'm sorry if you took my picks. I really am. But I got killed in all 4 picks. That might have been the worst 4-game parlay in the history of parlays, and I'll take that on the chin because I deserve to be ripped on after that terrible display. I told you to take the Lightning plus 1.5. I was even saying maybe take them on the money line. They got smoked. I told you to take the Bruins plus 1.5. They got smoked. I told you to take the Sixers plus 4.5. They got smoked. The Mavericks were my closest pick. I told you to take them plus 5.5. They actually had a chance to cover at the end. If Dinwiddie hit a garbage time 3, they would have covered. He missed it. The Mavericks lost by 7. That was terrible. I don't want to talk about these 4 games again. I will do better. I promise you I will not go 0 for tonight. If I go 0 for tonight, I'm not coming back in tomorrow. I'll make that promise to all of you. But let's talk about a positive now. While my pick of the Lightning went wrong, it was good to see it go wrong against the Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto's own team, a team that everybody wants to see succeed. Man, you look at the Maple Leafs, they came out for blood. This team was motivated from the opening faceoff. They were going off, man. This team dominated the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-0, and it wasn't close throughout. I'm going to take you through some reactions now from some Twitter personalities, just instilling the fact that the Maple Leafs might have played a near perfect playoff game, and it was to begin this playoffs. You look at Brian Hayes from TSN, he says, couldn't ask for a better game one for the Leafs. Started with that 5-minute kill, and the intensity never dropped. Fans were electric too, of course. Fans returning to Scotiabank Arena for Leafs playoff hockey. Dom at the Passion said, perfect game for the Leafs and probably the best we've seen in the Matthews-Marner era. And then Paul Bissonnette said, Leafs look exactly how I thought they look. Unbelievable, 1 period at a time. This Maple Leafs team, they were led by Austin Matthews, who, of course, is coming off of winning another Hart Trophy, 60-goal season. He had 2 goals and an assist. Jack Campbell recorded a 24-save shutout. And this was a perfect start for the Leafs to really set the tone in the series. And one of the biggest things that happened in this game, Mitch Marner, a guy who finally got the playoff monkey off his back. It was a 118-day, 49-shot drought since Mitch Marner recorded a playoff goal. The last time coming April 2019 against Boston. Mitch Marner finally put the puck in the back of the net in a postseason setting. And he said this, can't think about those, Marner said. Got to be here in the moment. Got to be ready for what comes tonight. And it was great to see Marner finally get his and finally score a goal. And hopefully this can now catapult Marner into having his own resurrection here in the playoffs at the perfect time and helping his superstar teammate in Austin Matthews bury a few. But this was an incredible display by the Maple Leafs. You look at what they did to Vasilevsky, a goaltender who's been known for having great postseason runs. I know it's just 1 game, but they made him look ordinary. They were beating him to the punch, and the Maple Leafs just looked faster. They looked more determined. They were eating up the penalty kill. They just looked like a much better team than the Lightning. The Lightning looked like they were a team that spent a little bit too much time late partying in Toronto, and they were not ready for this game. So the Maple Leafs could not have gotten off to a more perfect start to their postseason. They know of the noise. They know guys like me expect this team to once again get ousted in the first round. They know they need to perform this season or else major changes could be coming. So this is a team that played with a great deal of confidence, and this was a team that looked ready to go. This is going to be a tough series for the Lightning. I'm not ready to write off the Lightning yet. You'd be stupid if you were to write off the Lightning, the 2-time Stanley Cup champs, after just 1 game. because you better believe they will be ready to go for game 2, and they will be a lot better. I'll bet money on that. But it was good to see the Maple Leafs, through all the adversity, through all the noise, coming out with that statement-like win to give them a 1-0 series lead in this best of 7. And now there is going to be pressure on the Lightning in game 2 because you do not want to go down 0-2 against the Maple Leafs before you got to face your fans in Tampa. So this was a great game to watch if you're a Leafs fan. And if you're a Lightning fan, you're like, what the hell is this? This was not the hockey you were accustomed to seeing through 2 postseasons, ultimately capped off by the Lightning winning it all. So there's still a lot of series left. By no way means necessary is this series over. But the Maple Leafs got the start that they were looking for. And let's see now if they can keep it going with their momentum. So game 2 goes Wednesday night, Scotiabank Arena. You definitely want to watch that game. We're now going to be taking a look at the Toronto Raptors. Now, you might be asking yourself, Luca, why on earth are we talking about the Raptors? Their season is over. There's so much to get to. I wanted to talk about the Raptors' offseason needs because I do think this could be a very interesting offseason for the Raptors. You look at the Toronto Raptors, they were proven that positionless basketball is fun, but it can only take you so far. This was a team that got punched in the mouth by the Sixers when Joel Embiid dominated them inside. So the number one need for this Raptors team is going to be going out and finding an athletic center, a guy who can combat, a guy who can go up against bigs like Joel Embiid. You need a true center. Kem Birch, in all likelihood, will not be back. He did not have a good season at all. It was tough to see, but the Raptors need a true athletic center. That's number one. Number two, the Raptors need a backup point guard. It was evident that the Raptors could have used a secondary ball handler, especially when Fred VanVleet went out through games 5 and 6. And it was pretty evident to know that VanVleet's injury was in large part to him logging heavy minutes in the first half. I mean, this guy was playing the most minutes in the NBA. He was logging like 40-plus minutes a night. And we all knew the inevitable was going to happen. We all knew he was going to catch up to Fred VanVleet, and it did. And the Raptors were without this season's best player, their all-star, and Fred VanVleet for games 5 and 6 because he didn't have a backup who could give him some rest in a lot of these games down the stretch. So the Raptors got to go out and find themselves a proven backup point guard who could be the perfect complement to Fred VanVleet's game. The Raptors do have 2 young point guards, backup point guards that they could further develop. That is another option. But with the way the season ended and with Nick Nurse not really giving a whole ton of minutes to guys like Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton, I'll be honest, I'm surprised we didn't see Delano Banton a whole ton. That probably suggests the Raptors could be on the lookout for a proven backup, serviceable point guard to help shoulder the load off Fred VanVleet down the stretch of the season. And then another thing the Raptors need, they need some shooters, man. This was one of the worst teams in the NBA in true shooting efficiency and one of the worst teams in the postseason. They ranked 15th of 16 teams in true shooting efficiency. And we saw that on full display in that disastrous third quarter of Game 6 when the Raptors could not hit a damn shot. The Raptors need shooters, and preferably they need shooters who can play defense because we can always find shooters. You can always go out and get guys like Matt Thomas, like this team did out in the past. But if they can't guard anybody, if they can't guard a pylon, they're basically useless. So the real question is going to be, can this Raptors team, can Masai Ujiri and company go out and find those hidden gems? Those guys that are every team's hot commodity, and that is a 3-and-D type player, a guy who can shoot the basketball at a high level and also guard his position just as well. So that is going to be one of the biggest things the Raptors need to address because their shooting from the very start of the season throughout was awful from an overall perspective. Now, one thing we do know, courtesy of Masai Ujiri today, is that Nick Nurse ain't going anywhere. He addressed this in a press conference this morning. He said, I dream like they dream. I want Messi. I want Ronaldo. I want Kobe Bryant. so they can keep dreaming too. I dream too. That was Masai Ujiri on the Lakers' interest on Nick Nurse. That might go down as one of the best quotes I've ever seen from a president of a team. That was savage, man. But Masai Ujiri is a smart man. Nick Nurse better not go anywhere because he is the captain of the ship. For those people who want to come at Nick Nurse, just stop. Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the NBA, and this guy always, whatever hand is dealt his way, he's always ready to come out on top. He's always prepared to put his team in the best position to win. So I'm glad to see Nick Nurse ain't going anywhere because it was reported and rumored that the Lakers were going to heavily pursue Nick Nurse, and rightfully so. And then one last thing the Raptors truly need before we get on to the next thing here. They need a proven star. They need a superstar. I know a lot of people want to say Luca, just trust this team's nucleus. Siakam could get better. Van Vliet could get better. With all due respect to both those players, I think they've both hit their ceiling. And this is reminding me of DeRozan and Kyle Lowry 2.0. A team that's going to be good enough to make it to the playoffs, even win a round, maybe two, but they're not going to bring you to the promised land. They're not going to put you in a position to win a championship. Superstars win in this league. It is proven. It is a known fact. Look at the past champions going back to the 90s. Superstars win you championships. As a matter of fact, I think only 3 teams in NBA history in a 60-year span haven't or had won the championship without an MVP player on their team. The most recent, 2019, the Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi never won an MVP, but here's the catch. He's a bona fide superstar. So the Raptors got to try to get creative and try to find themselves a superstar, or else they might have to bank on Scotty Barnes becoming one. And that's a lot of pressure to put on such a young player. But the Raptors definitely need a go-to star that they can rely on late in games when they need to get some offense going, because we saw in that game 6, that was the start of their demise. When shots weren't falling, the Sixers made their run, and it was a good night for the Raptors. Now, if you're not going to get a superstar, a bona fide superstar per se, because they are very hard to come by, maybe the Raptors try to get creative and maybe they go out and get a star. And by stars, I mean guys like Bradley Beal, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, which is going to lead me to the next thing I want to talk about. Are the Utah Jazz ready to split apart? And if they are, those are 2 players, very talented players, in Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, I can make a case would be great fits on the Toronto Raptors, either or. But let's first talk about how this came to be. So this was a rumor, a report that Gobert reportedly demanded that either he or Donovan Mitchell be traded from the Jazz in the next few days. Now, I do want to say that Gobert did immediately shoot this down, if you will. I mean, he did take to Twitter later that day saying, every day has its own new rumor. But I think there's a little bit of truth to this. I think this has been a long time coming, and this was the postseason that everybody was looking at as the make or break for the Utah Jazz. If this team could not have gotten out of the first round, even after the fact that Luka Doncic missed the first 2 games, major changes were coming. And I believe major changes need to happen in Utah because this experiment never worked and it never will work. For as good as Gobert and Mitchell are individually, clearly this duo has problems. And I think these guys don't get along with each other. We've seen instances where they've had rifts between each other, where they've gone into some sort of arguments. And this is a duo that they've hit their ceiling together. They will not bring the Jazz to the promised land. The West has gotten better with the rise of the Grizzlies. The Warriors are back. The Mavs are just getting started with Luka's emergence. The Jazz are not going to be a part of that equation as they are constructed. This is a team that they have done so many good things. They have resurrected the basketball in Utah, being a winning program all around. But this is not a team that will get it done when it matters the most in the postseason. So I think major changes are going to be coming. And as a matter of fact, Magic Johnson suggested that these teams need to make trades and moves this summer. The Brooklyn Nets, the Utah Jazz, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Chicago Bulls. I would say that's bang on. But going back to this Jazz team, the question then becomes, who do they trade and what can they get in return? I don't know who this team is going to trade out of Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. I really don't. You can make a strong case that both of them are very important, a part of the Jazz success. Gobert is the quote-unquote one of the best defenders in the league, if not the very best. And I know he's limited offensively, but we know how good he is down there guarding the paint. But Donovan Mitchell, I think he can still become a big-time stud. I know he kind of fell back this season a little bit dealing with some injuries, but he is still a big-time gamer. So let's first start with Rudy Gobert. There's already a ton of talk swirling that if you were to get traded, the Warriors, a team that is still playing in the playoffs, a team that does have title aspirations as of now, could be a team that looks into trading for Rudy Gobert in the offseason. This is via ESPN. And Andrew Wiggins could be dealt to Utah. Hold up just a minute. So you're telling me the already dangerous Warriors would add Rudy Gobert to that lineup of Green, Poole, Thompson, and Curry? Just give this team the damn championship next season if that happens. We all thought the Warriors dynasty was dead. It might be starting up again. And then as for Donovan Mitchell, you saw the graphic on your screen a couple moments ago. But I mean, the pipe dream, for Knicks fans at least, Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks, this has been rumored very, very long. And I don't know how the Knicks would make it work. Probably would have to trade over Julius Randle. Do the Jazz really want Randle? Probably not. But let's just say the Knicks somehow do make that happen. Donovan Mitchell and RJ Barrett, I think those are the two perfect guys that would bring this Knicks franchise back to relevancy. And we all thought the Knicks were back to relevancy last season, but that was short-lived for one season, as we expected, as I expected. But you get a guy like Donovan Mitchell, all of a sudden, he adds excitement back to New York Knicks basketball. And you better believe if Mitchell is indeed made available, there's going to be a lot of people calling the Jazz and inquiring about Donovan Mitchell. Both these players at that. I mean, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell are nowhere near washed. Both of those players can significantly help a team that is either already a title contender or on the cusp of becoming a title contender. And going back to the Raptors, they literally could use one of those two players. Gobert would be a perfect fit at center. And if you're not going to go the Gobert route, Donovan Mitchell, I know you would have a small guard backcourt with he and Van Vliet, but that's a guy the Raptors need. They need a shot creator. They need a guy that can get to the line. Who would the Raptors have to give up? In all likelihood, it would probably have to be their all-star, Pascal Siakam. We'll save that conversation for another day, but I think there's going to be a whole lot of buzz this offseason about trades and guys who could get traded. So that is going to conclude that story. It's now time to make some picks, people. And I promised you at the start of the show, if I go 0-4 tonight, I am not coming in tomorrow. So here we go. The pressure is on. 3 games. Got to get at least one winner. We're first going to start Bucks taking on the Celtics. This is a must-win for the Celtics, in my opinion. You do not want to go down 0-2 against the defending champs going to Milwaukee. The Celtics, 4.5-point favorites. I actually went against my original pick here. I originally did say the Bucks, but I'm going to go with the Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to have a much better game because I bank on the fact that Tatum and Brown won't shoot the ball as bad as they did in Game 1. And if they don't shoot the ball as bad as they did in Game 1, they will have a solid chance in this one. Expect the Celtics and Udoka to make the adjustments needed to try to contain Giannis and some of the issues and problems that we're dealing with. I know the Celtics will have trouble with their size, and Marcus Smart, he's still dealing with some stuff. But I do think the Celtics will respond tonight in Boston, and they will get a much-needed bounce-back win, and they will cover that -4.5. It'll be a close game, but I can see the Celtics pulling through late in this one. So I got the Celtics -4.5. The next game, Warriors-Grizzlies. This is my most confident pick. Might be saying something, might not be, but I got the Warriors tonight. Give me the Warriors +2. You're getting the Warriors at value +2. I think the series is going to end quickly. No disrespect to the Grizzlies, but this is a very young, unproven playoff team. The Warriors got a big-time win in game one. That was the game the Grizzlies needed to get, and they let it go. Klay Thompson missing some late key free throws. Ja had a chance to win the game. The Grizzlies are going to look back at that game, and they're going to say that really hurt us in terms of having a chance in the series. So I like the Warriors tonight. I think it's going to be a more convincing win for them. Give me the Warriors +2. I think they win this game outright. And then only one hockey bet I'm making tonight. Penguins Rangers. I'm going with the team that many think this is their last hurrah. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Penguins +1.5. I think the Penguins are going to show us that they still got something left in the tank, and I cannot bet against a team that have proven Stanley Cup winners, a team that is made up of guys who have been there before. I think the Penguins start the series off on the right note. I think they go into MSG and they keep it close, if not steal this game one. So give me the Penguins +1.5. So to recap, that is my 3-team parlay. I like the Celtics -4.5. You see the Bucks there. I told producer Patrick I changed my pick. So I'm actually going Celtics -4.5. I'm going Warriors -2. I think it's +2 now. And I like the Penguins +1.5. Those are my 3 picks. I had to make a drastic change. Drastic times call for drastic measures. And like I said, I gotta pick some winners. So those are my picks. I'm going Boston -5. Golden State's -2. That's my bad. They are -2. And then I'm going Penguins +1.5. So those are my 3 picks, 3-team parlay. Like I said, I got to get at least one right, or else I'm not coming back in here because I have been bad with my picks, and I got to get it right. I got to get it better on this show. That will conclude Laying the Points with Luca Rosano. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, coming to you every single day, Monday through Friday, here from the Parlay Studios. You can catch this podcast wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can find the show on YouTube, Parlay TV, you name it, where we talk sports and sports betting. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all again in tomorrow's show. Take care.